Well, it finally happened. And did I predict it? Yes, I did. It seems that all of the debate, discussion, and drama over the $20,000 1099K threshold being reduced to just $600 was all for nothing. That rule has gone poof. Let's talk about what that means for you. When the $600 1099K rule was first introduced, I posted a video called No More Flying Under the Radar. It blew up because people were understandably freaking out. Since then, I've covered every plot twist, every delay, every backtrack, and now the 1099K roller coaster has seemingly come to a screeching halt. At least for now, never say never. Let me catch you up. New online sellers are joining the party every day, so I want to give a good background and context. What is a 1099K? If you've ever had sales over $20,000 and at least 200 transactions on platforms like PayPal, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, you've probably received a Form 1099K. That form doesn't just go to you, it goes to the IRS as well. And if you don't report that income, the IRS will send you a love note with a tax bill attached. Let's say you had $25,000 worth of eBay sales but didn't report it. The IRS gets your 1099K and sees nothing that matches it on your tax return. They assume that it's all profit and they send you a bill for an additional $4,000 to $8,000. And that's when I usually get a panicked email in my inbox. What I usually do is help people amend their tax return. Of course, they need to report those sales that the IRS already knows about, but more importantly, they need to report the deductions they're entitled to, the cost of goods sold, mileage, supplies, software, shipping, all of it. That $25,000 profit, or that the IRS thinks is a profit, might turn into more like $5,000 of taxable profit, or maybe even a loss. And the tax owed is going to drop dramatically. Now let's take a walk down memory lane. For years, the 1099K threshold was $20,000 and 200 transactions. Then in 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act lowered it to just $600 with no transaction minimum. That was supposed to kick in for the 2022 tax year. But when the IRS got a lot of pushback, they got cold feet and they delayed it in late 2022. Then they delayed it again in late 2023. And instead of going straight to $600, they introduced a phased rollout. In 2024 was a $5,000 threshold. 2025 was supposed to be a $2,500 threshold, and then 2026 would have eventually got down to that $600 originally proposed threshold. But in 2025, Congress repealed the originally proposed $600 rule as part of what I lovingly call the kick the can down the road bill. In other words, we're back to the $20,000 and 200 transactions threshold. What this means for you, if you've always reported your online sales regardless of the 1099K, this doesn't change much. That's what you should have been doing. But if you were worried about the IRS having more visibility into your side hustle, that just got reversed or deleted. Still, just because you don't get a 1099K doesn't mean you're off the hook. You're still legally required to report all your income, whether or not a form shows up in the mail. Also, keep this in mind. The amount shown on your 1099K isn't always an accurate representation of your actual sales. It likely includes sales tax and gross receipts without factoring in returns and refunds. That's why I always say your records matter more than the form. And even though the threshold just got reset to the original $20,000 level, I'm almost positive thousands, if not millions of sellers will still get the 1099K forms in the mail, even if they were below the $20,000 threshold. And I think that's just because it's not simple for some of these big companies to maneuver and change their processes quickly. It doesn't hurt anything to receive one, unless of course you were trying to fly under the radar. Just don't be surprised. Now, before you celebrate too hard, remember that some states didn't get the memo. States like Vermont, Massachusetts, Virginia, and Maryland, and others still require platforms like PayPal or eBay to issue a 1099K at that $600 level. So even if the IRS doesn't get a copy, your state still might. And yes, they will expect you to report that income. So will these state thresholds change now that the federal rule was repealed? Probably not anytime soon. States tend to move slower and are happy to keep that extra visibility into your income. So check your state's rules and don't assume that no 1099K means no taxes due. It's always safer to track and report everything, and that's why keeping good records matters more than ever. Side note, the rule that we're talking about for the $600 1099K threshold that was reversed before it went into effect has nothing to do with the $600 threshold for the Form 1099 NEC that applies to contractors. That That's been around for a while, and that's the one that says if you pay a contractor over $600 during the year, you need to send them a 1099 NEC form. Well, this same bill increases that threshold to $2,000, and that's effective starting with the 2026 tax year. Final thought, I typically say to trust your bookkeeping more than the 1099s you receive. If you're feeling lost or just need someone in your corner, I'm launching my refreshed Financial Insiders membership with a new and more community-focused platform where you can get direct support from me year-round for way less than the cost of a typical CPA consultation. See the details in the links below, where you'll also find more resources to help you optimize your tax situation and overcome the anxiety so you can focus on building your business profitably.